was no secret just how much I loved the preview of Sezane's autumn collection, and I ended up placing a little bit of an order, more like a quite large order, and I wanted to review everything for you today. I'm going to be sharing with you pros and cons of each piece, and as I like to do for these kinds of videos, I'll have a companion piece on my website with the exact item measurements for each piece that I share. So this is a really good frame of reference because they don't offer that information on their website. And in case it's helpful, I'm going to put a little preview of all the items I ended up ordering on screen and timestamps down in the description box in case you'd like to skip ahead at all. And you know, it's funny, when this arrived, it was true Sezane fashion with that fragrance scent. And this is something I talk about often, but I personally don't love the fragrance, though I know so many of you do, and it's something you associate with the brand. But just something to keep in mind, if you have a heightened sense of smell, you may want to air the items out before trying them on. So I want to start with the piece that I think I was most excited about from the lookbook. It is the Suzon Jacket, and this is a really sweet houndstooth cropped jacket in a boxy fit. It's a wool blend, but one thing I kind of gathered when I was looking at it is that it would have that lovely woolen texture that I would kind of associate with a 100% natural fiber piece. I did order this in my usual size 8, which is a US 4 or French 36. And this particular jacket is 350 Australian dollars, which for a cropped vest, it does seem a little bit on the pricey side. Now I want to talk about fit first. You'll be able to see that for me, there's a couple of problems with this jacket as much as I love the idea. I think in theory, it's great, but it doesn't quite come to the fore in reality for me. So it's incredibly boxy across the chest. So even when I raise my arms, you can see that there's actually still a lot of width. So I would highly recommend sizing down in this jacket, particularly for petites, because you're going to end up with a lot of fabric otherwise. The other thing is that because it is more of a cropped jacket, it highlights my widest part. And while I won't let that rule out items like this from my wardrobe, I really, really love them. For me, it means that styling is going to be a constant battle because I'm going to have to really think and be very considered about the way I'm building proportions in my outfit. And if you're just getting ready in a rush, this might not be something that you have time or the want to do, particularly if you do have a longer torso like I do. But otherwise, I actually think the details on this are really, really beautiful. It is fully lined, and this is something that Sezane always does well, is really lovely details. The snap closure on the front, which I know some people don't like, but I actually think it makes it really easy to get on and off. They feel really robust and really high quality, like they don't feel flimsy at all, and they have a nice matte finish to them. There's also these little pockets on the front which are functional, so you could put your wallet and your keys in there when you're going out for a walk. The stitching is all really even and it's finished really nicely. I think this is such a beautiful piece, but one that I would recommend more so for those who have a shorter torso. Really lovely though. I thought perhaps we could talk about shoes next because this was something a lot of you mentioned in my previous video you were keen to see. So the first pair I added to my order are the Agathe Ballerinas in the silver, and gosh, they've done a really nice job of the color of the silver because you kind of get a variation depending on where you're sourcing your leather from. I like that it's got a really beautiful pebble to it. It's really nice and soft, and it has this kind of crinkled effect on the side, which sort of elevates these and makes them feel a little bit more unique. Now, I ordered these in a size US 10 because based on the sizing info on the website, it's sort of recommended that I size up, but they're incredibly roomy. And you're actually going to find if you have wide feet, perfect shoe for you. I have wide feet and there is still width across the foot when I put these on. You'll be able to see some gaps around the side of my foot. And I think that that would be solved if I were to go with my usual size. So unless you are borderline the next size up, I would actually recommend sticking with your usual size for these. And I have to call out the fact that the sole, while it doesn't have insole support, it is bouncy and it has a nice kind of softness, almost like there's a cushion underneath the leather insole. And the other thing that's nice about Sezane's shoes is they do add this grip here at the front, so you don't need to go and get them topi soled immediately. The leather is soft and smooth, but it does feel like it's got a little bit of grit, a little bit of kind of robustness to it, so it's not going to scratch up too easily. And also, and this is maybe just a particular detail for me, I like that the bows are leather, but what they've done is they've actually attached them so that you don't have to continue fussing with them. I find when there are leather bows and you have to keep tying them, they always end up coming undone. And these shoes are 315 Australian dollars, and I think that's a very fair price for a shoe of this quality. They come in lots of different colors too. So if you've been umming and ahhing over them, I don't think you need to hesitate. I love that they kind of have modernized a very classic shoe. The Cory Jumper is next, and this is basically an open knitted vest with little ties at the side. It's 100% merino wool, and you'll know I always tend to gravitate towards their natural fiber knitwear pieces. It feels very reminiscent of the Betty cardigan, so if you already own that, then you'll kind of have a sense of how this feels. I would say maybe ever so slightly thinner though. It's a little bit more lightweight. Lovely red collar here, and then you also have the rib trim at the hem, which has a high-low effect, so ever so slightly longer in the back. In case I didn't mention, this one retails for 260 Australian dollars, so a little bit more on the pricey end of the spectrum. I went with a size small, but I will say I think there's a bit of flexibility in the sizing because of the open design and the fact that you can just really adjust the fit here with the ties, so you could size down or size up if your size is not available. The other thing I wanted to highlight is actually the color discrepancy between the website and what it looks like in person. So you can see it's quite kind of a cool, neutral chestnut brown, whereas on the website it read as a little bit more of a ruddy, rusty brown color, like this top little sneak peek. But I prefer this. I actually think this is a little bit more wearable, as not everyone is going to suit those red tone browns. This is really, really nice, and I have to admit, I like this a lot more than I thought I would. The next piece that I decided to order was not in the lookbook, but the second I saw it, I immediately rushed to add it to cart in case it sold out. This is called the Elwood Blouse, and it retails for $205. It's a lace, which means that you can assume there's probably going to be some synthetic in it. It's actually a cotton blend, and this is an instance where I will buy something that does have a little bit of a nylon polyamide blended into it. It reminds me a lot of a top that I always wanted from Lover, the label, back when Susie and Nick were at the helm of the brand, and I thought this would make a really beautiful layering piece. I went with my usual size 8, and I found that actually if you want it to fit really snug, you might want to size down. As you can see, it's a little bit roomy on me, has a touch bit of stretch to it, but gosh, the lace on this is absolutely beautiful. I will say that from a modesty perspective, you kind of have to think about what you're going to wear underneath. I styled it more with an evening look in mind, just with a bralette, but I would probably wear this with a little black camisole, one that's either high-necked or that does kind of reveal a little bit of the upper chest area, and I think that that's a great way to make this work for you in that instance. Otherwise, I would also consider wearing this as a base layer underneath a shirt, just to have that little lace moment peeking through. The detail that isn't really evident on the website, which I noticed the second I unpackaged it, is that it does have ruching across the waist, so you do have that kind of flattering element there too, and it does conceal a little bit more of the stomach as well. I think that this is probably one of my favorite pieces that I ordered, a really surprising hit. They kind of nailed it with this one, and I find that their silent sleepers often tend to be the best ones. There was a lot of leather and suede featured in the collection, and I'm already a fan of Sezane leather, based by I think these are called the Damiano trousers. These are amazing. And so I decided to kind of take a risk and see what the Milene blouse was like in person. It's essentially a tunic top in this rusty brown. So this has kind of got a very strong red undertone to it, and 100% suede with a lining to it, so it feels really comfortable against the skin. This is a higher price point though, so 450 Australian dollars, which to me is kind of sitting at the top end of what many people would actually pay for a wool coat. So a pretty penny, and I think at that price you really have to love it if you're going to add it into your wardrobe. One thing I will say about this is that I felt immediately when I put it on that this suede is better suited to their jackets, and if this is the quality of the suede that they're using for the suede Clyde and also for the suede Will, I think that those are such a steal because they're really good prices, especially for the fact that they're a full leather suede piece. So this comes with a detachable belt, and there are no belt loops, so you can wear it clean like a tunic, or alternatively you do have the option to belt it at the waist. So I suppose in some ways you could say you're getting two tops for the price of one. I find that it looks better with that waist definition, particularly as it is a longer top, and it does feature the little split at the side too. The other detail that I wanted to mention is it does have the snap closure at the back, which makes it really easy to get on and off. Now, okay, I'm in two minds about this because I do kind of love it in theory, though I'm not sure that this brown is my best brown. I feel like I suit slightly cooler tone brown, or one that leans more in the neutral kind of realm. But when I tried this on, I immediately thought, I kind of look like Robin Hood or Peter Pan, particularly with it belted at the waist. And now that I've had that thought bubble pop into my head, I don't think I can unsee it. It's like when someone says something about your outfit and then all of a sudden that's all you can think about. I'm really sorry if I've ruined this for somebody else if you love it, but the quality of it is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it's a really, really pretty piece. And maybe if you wear it like that, just with a little mini skirt or something, that could be really chic. Yes, I have to say, very impressed with the quality of the suede from Sezane, which I suppose I shouldn't have been surprised given that I've had such a good experience with their leather pieces. Okay, we have the Garance Ankle Booties next, and these were another one of my favorite picks from the lookbook. I really love a low kitten heel boot. I just think it is so chic. It gives you that lift, that elevation and height, but without kind of feeling like you're about to fall over, teetering around. Perfect if you are someone who kind of wants to bring that polish into their outfit but has younger children. I feel like this is very manageable and easily could run in them. I also love that they have the more pointed toe as well, as I find that sort of shape really suits my kind of silhouette and my essence. So these are 420 Australian dollars. So I feel like they kind of hit that mark around what you would expect to spend on a high quality leather boot. They've got a patent finish, so really nice and glossy. And in terms of a comparison to something I already own in my wardrobe, it reminds me a lot of my Reiki Nen boots that I style every now and then. I'll put a little photo on screen, and those have worn really, really well. Though I do think that this has a bit more of a stiffness to it, and it's really noticeable when you've got the boots on around the ankle. And the only reason why I wanted to highlight this and mention it is that I know some people who've got thicker calves, that's probably going to be their primary concern. You do have a subtle elasticated gusset here, which gives you a little bit more stretch and give across the calf. Just from experience with my other patent shoes from Sezane, they do kind of tend to soften and give over time. So just something to be aware of. They also have this little YKK zip, which, you know, gold standard of zippers, really nice and smooth, but also sturdy. And just like the ballerinas, these do have that grip on the sole too. I mean, these are such a beautiful boot, and the color is phenomenal. It is just such a lovely shade of chocolate brown, really rich and deep, but also cozy and inviting. It's a really nice dark neutral alternative to black. Another item I was really excited about from the lookbook was the Nerissa shirt. So this is a 100% organic cotton shirt, which was kind of what I was anticipating when I was looking through the lookbook. This I got in a size AU8, and it's $220. So kind of in that high price bracket for a cotton shirt, but being organic cotton. And being organic cotton, I'm happy to pay a little bit more, but I'm also practical, because if this was a simple button-down shirt, I would tell you to go and get the H&M equivalent, which I feel kind of clocks in at around 40 Australian dollars and is really beautiful quality. But this has design elements that make it feel more special. So for one, it has a stand collar or mandarin collar, so you don't have that popped over collar, that sharp edge that you might get from some shirts. This actually is a really nice detail if you're someone who often feels overwhelmed when you're wearing a traditional collared shirt. Also, it has the drop shoulder, and so again, if you're someone with narrow shoulders, this is a really beautiful style for you because it's going to give you that breadth across the shoulders and actually balance out your proportions. But then it also has this kind of fun puffed sleeve with the elasticated cuff, and I actually thought that this sort of detail might feel cheap, but actually I feel like it kind of helps to make this blouse. It would be nice if they had thought about maybe finishing this with a cinched cuff, but I feel like this kind of gives you that space to push it up your sleeves and really play up the volume. The details are all really lovely. You've got these dainty little pearl buttons down the front, and the weight of the cotton actually quite nice. It is thick but not fully opaque, and it has a really lovely kind of starchy quality to it as well. Incredibly voluminous though. So I got my usual size 8, and I think if you are taller like I am, I'm 172 centimeters or 5'8", then you can safely stick with your usual size. But if you're petite, you may like to size down, as it is quite a lot of fabric otherwise. This is great. I actually think, again, this might be one of my favorites, but maybe I might have saved the very best for last. So this is the Neli Skirt, a beautiful A-line leather mini in the most stunning kind of plum oxblood color. I believe they're calling it burgundy on the website, but it has more of a purple undertone to it, kind of an aubergine, as opposed to that touch of cherry cola, which I typically expect in a true burgundy hue. It is lined with with viscose, which feels really nice against the skin, and it has a simple zip closure at the back, fitted at the waist, and then it flares out. So this is a really beautiful silhouette for every single body shape. It's going to give you that lovely hourglass X-shaped silhouette. Again, I'm really blown away by the quality of the leather. It feels pretty much on par with the trousers that I'm wearing, which are obviously from last year. So great to see that there's a consistency in the quality, and the fit of it is really nice. So I do feel like it's ever so slightly generously cut. I'm a very true AU8, and I have a bit of room at the waist, which you should be able to see in the cutaways. Though I'm not overly bothered by this because it does mean that you can stuff and tuck a really chunky knit sweater with it, which is probably the main way that I would be styling this. It's priced at 360 Australian dollars, which again is that slightly higher price point. Though for a leather skirt, I actually think it's quite fair and on par with what I would expect to pay from local designers here in Australia. So I think you're getting pretty good value for money here, particularly if you are looking to add in that really luscious piece of kind of textural, tactile dimension to your outfit. I think if I had to choose between these two here, I would go with the skirt over the top, or I would consider getting the wool and the suede, maybe a size or two up to kind of have that nice ease baked into it. In case I didn't mention, I did get my usual size AU8 in this, and I wouldn't consider sizing down unless the main way that I planned on styling this was with fitted tops. So ending definitely on a high. I feel like I had a lot of success with this order. Everything is actually really, really nice, and part of that comes down to how discerning I am and how critical I am of what I'm adding into my cart. I pay attention to all of the details about the composition, and I try to reflect on whether the cut and also the color will suit me. And I think out of all of them, probably the only one that is maybe is this vest here. And also, I did want to mention, I'm not sure if it was because it's new season or because I actually spent quite a bit of money. I did receive as an unexpected surprise a little travel size jewelry box, which I thought was a really sweet addition. And those little gifts, I think, always make you feel a little bit kind of special and like you've been noticed. I don't know. And I feel like that speaks to the psychology of the experience of actually opening a parcel and how that affects your perception of what you've ordered. I don't know, some food for thought. I always love talking about that sort of thing. Anyway, that is everything that I ordered from Sezane's fall collection, at least the very start of the season. I know they'll end up with some real gems as we carry on through. I would love to know if you had a favorite piece, if there was anything that stood out to you. Please share what you have ordered in the comments below, whether it was a hit or a miss. I need to know. We can have some more discussion down there, as I feel like it's really helpful for the other Sezane lovers out there. Thank you so much for watching. I will have all of those links I mentioned along with the corresponding blog post in that description box in case you'd like to go and do some extra reading. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you next time with a brand new one. See you soon. Bye.